Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. My name is Joyce DeRiga. I'm editor of the Chicago Catholic, the newspaper for the Archdiocese. And this is where we go beyond the headlines that are making the news in the paper and talk to the people that are we're doing stories on. So today our guest is Bob Shea. He's from Devices for the Disabled. And I'm excited about this because we were there. We first interviewed them when they were just getting off the ground about, I think it's 2016. And they've since blossomed into this amazing nonprofit that, in my opinion, provides phenomenal services to people who need them in this world where skyrocketing healthcare and whatnot. So welcome, Bob. Thanks for coming to Beyond the Headlines.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So tell people what Devices for the Disabled is.
Devices for the Disabled is a charity that provides medical equipment like wheelchairs, walkers, canes, hospital beds, power chairs to people in need at no cost. So a lot of people don't realize, they think this level of desperation only exists in some faraway third world country, and it's only a couple of miles away from where they live.
I just want to tell people, we've been emailing back and forth, but I told you this, Bob, but for folks who are listening or might be watching. So we had done this story, I think, Bob, you guys reached out, and then recently, the day before Thanksgiving, I fell down the steps at my house and badly fractured my ankle and my foot. And, and then I had to be off it for 6 weeks. So I needed a shower chair. I had unfortunately a walker for some other reason. I needed a cane. I needed a scooter that got me around, like the little knee scooter. And I was lucky enough, Karen Calloway, our photographer, one of her family members had a knee scooter I could borrow. And I mean, the thing's almost like $200. Like I started thinking about people who don't have the money to buy these things. The scooter really enabled me to get around, like the grocery store, my house, and so then I started thinking about you all again, and then I looked you up and I was like, you just have blossomed, into this whole thing. And we used the headline that you give people their lives back, and you really do. And can you kind of set the stage? Like, a lot of this medical equipment isn't covered by insurance, right? Like you would think it is, but it's not oftentimes.
It's of course there's people out there who don't have insurance, but
true.
Even if you do have insurance, there's all kinds of gaps in the system. I started this with Ed Kane, who lived, he and I and our families lived in St. Mary of the Woods Parish. And we were good friends, and our kids went to the school there at St. Mary's. But Ed was diagnosed with ALS. And he, as his disease progressed, he was prescribed a complex wheelchair. Now, he had insurance, allocated up to $2,500 for a wheelchair. And you would think, oh, well, that's enough. That complex wheelchair cost $30,000.
Right.
And so he was able to take the money out of his 401k, but not even just a poor person. Where's a middle-class family come up with $27,000 for a wheelchair? And if you can't, then you lose your life. So it was like peeling an onion. Medicare, Medicaid do not pay for bath equipment. Basically their coverage stops at the bathroom door. We had a kid who, with muscular dystrophy, got approved for a powered chair. It took almost a year for him to get that chair from Medicaid. So there are so many gaps to the system. And there are so many people out there who are so desperate for the equipment that you just earlier, there was a picture of the Pope in a wheelchair.
Right.
And, wonderful. He was able to continue his mission because he was in that wheelchair. There's so many people out there who aren't able to access what you and the Pope were able to access.
Well, you don't think about the uninsured. Can you share some of those examples that you have, that you see people that, I mean, they probably, they end up in the ER, right? Maybe, and then they're discharged, and then, they don't.
That's it. It's so often, people will, I'll give you an example. We see a lot of gunshot victims
Okay.
because we're located on the south side. And there was a young girl, Tanya. She's from Our Lady of Guadalupe on the southeast side, which is the next neighborhood over from where I grew up. And she was in the wrong place at the wrong time when the shooting started, and 3 bullets missed their target and hit Tanya. And she was now paralyzed from the neck down on a ventilator.
Wow.
3 weeks later, her mother delivered a baby girl. So her youngest was in her arms, and her oldest child was in the hospital paralyzed, and the
Wow.
family didn't have insurance. And so the University of Chicago Hospital reached out to us and said, "Is there anything that you could do?" And so we did get a complex wheelchair. We made all the adaptations, like a sip and puff, which is like a straw that you can operate the wheelchair. And that wheelchair new would have been $40,000. There's no way the family would have ever been able to pay for that. And if not, Tanya would have come home to lay in bed for the rest of her life, which, if you are quadriplegic, just laying in bed, you have a life expectancy of about 2 to 4 years
Oh, really? Wow.
before pneumonia or sepsis will get you. So, with the day we brought it into the University of Chicago Hospital, the room was filled with doctors, nurses, therapists, because they knew what was coming. And the mother was there. And the mother had told the nurses that she could never cry in front of her daughter. She had to be strong for her daughter. So when we came in, everybody, all the clinical people, of course, went for the wheelchair. Ooh, look at this. I walked over to the bed, and I had been paralyzed, and I pulled down my shirt and showed the scar where I was intubated.
Wow.
And I told Tanya, I have my membership card. And she got a big smile on her face. And then I also said, oh, by the way, that wheelchair is for you. That's yours. The mother heard me and then proceeded to break down crying. And when she collected herself, she said, my daughter will have a life. And today, I just saw Tanya just a couple of weeks ago. Tanya is taking college courses.
Wow.
She wants to work for DCFS. And she said, I want to help other children who have gone through what I've gone
Wow.
through. So there's a life that continues. She is just a ray of sunshine, and she will continue to be touching people's lives. But without that equipment, it would have never happened.
Wow. I'm getting teary-eyed too. So, sorry, I have a cold that's not going away. Let's go that direction. How do you get that equipment? I mean, that's not easy. And most of the equipment that you get is used. And I mean, that's an expensive piece of equipment. So tell us about that. How do you get the equipment? And then we can talk about what you do to the equipment to fix it up, and let's talk about that.
Sure. It's just started out, of course, word of mouth, but the word moved on, and it's just people that they have gotten better, like maybe in your case, and they or somebody has passed away, and they can go to our website and click on the button, donate equipment, and we will come and get that equipment, or you can drop it off at one of our drop-off locations. Now, we always knew the people that received the equipment would benefit and be obviously a winner from it. The unexpected consequence was that the people who donate equipment benefit almost as much. Quick story. A couple They were from St. Giles in Oak Park, and their 15-year-old son had passed away. And the father could not let go of his wheelchair. It just sat in the boy's room. And just as they were coming up on the year anniversary of his passing, they heard about us. And they, on the day of his anniversary, they took the wheelchair to the cemetery.
Wow.
They told the boy what they were doing with his wheelchair, and then came to us.
Wow.
And when they came in, I brought them into our warehouse, and 6,000 square feet of equipment. And I said, every piece of equipment that you're looking at was donated. And every piece of equipment has a story attached to it. I said, now your son's wheelchair will profoundly touch someone's life, like Tanya's. It gives them their life back. And I said, you just created an amazing legacy for your son. And with, of course, lots of tears. But they had smiles on their faces.
Yeah.
The joy of knowing we created a legacy for our son. So it's just, the circle will be completed.
I want everybody to know about it. I mean, and I know that one of the news stations did a story and got an Emmy or something for doing, and it's really the stories that you have and the work that you do. That I mean, because everybody has something, you know, and then it's like, what do you do with the equipment that, you know, that you have and sitting around? So when you get it, do you have to do? We have pictures from the story of some of your folks working on a wheelchair. Seems like one of the complex wheelchairs. But do you typically have to do a lot of? Have you become like a jack of all trades, fixing stuff, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We have Blaze is our operations manager, but Emiliano is just brilliant at just looking in, because it's, say, for instance, a wheelchair has to be, there's all kinds of adjustments that need to be made so that it is appropriate for a patient. And so beyond fixing something that's broken. So yes, a lot of work has to go into it. We, of course, have a disinfection station.
Oh, sure.
So that the equipment is cleaned and disinfected for the patient. And we also, Rosario and Godo are also involved in making that equipment. The Godo is just amazing. Without any kind of technical background, he can just look at one of these wheelchairs and he knows how to fix it.
Wow.
So, and so that's in the clinical world, it's called seating and positioning. And I say it's like if you buy a suit, then you have to have it tailored so that it fits you. Well, it's the same as true. That wheelchair needs to be tailored so that it is appropriate to the patient.
And you don't think about that, because I have a friend who's been in a wheelchair for a long time, was in a car accident. Yeah, and if it rubs the wrong way and it, you know, is there anything that you don't take?
Certain things like CPAP machines we don't take.
Okay.
I'm trying to, there are certain types of equipment we don't take. The term is durable medical equipment.
Okay.
And that's wheelchairs, as I said, walkers, hospital beds, patient lifts, of course, commode, shower chairs, shower benches. So that all of that type of equipment is what we take. We do take supplies. It's just, again, adult diapers, chucks, gloves, that's all very expensive.
Yes.
And if you're not able to access equipment, that's a huge burden on a family.
So you've since built up, I mean, you have a network of people. How do people find you? And then how do you work with the hospitals? You know, you were talking about Tanya and other folks that you've helped out. Like, how have you built up those relationships and how does it work? You know, is it a both and? Does the hospital reach out or do people, go ahead.
Sure. We've just been blessed. It's just my friend Ed, who I started this with, passed away 9 months after the initial article that you did on us.
Yeah.
He got to see us get off the launch pad. I always kiddingly say he's working real hard just from the other side.
Absolutely.
But we just started out word of mouth, and then we started. Social workers would happen to have heard there's this little organization, and they would reach out to us. And from there, we just started a relationship initially just with that social worker. But today we have a referral network where it's all like obviously Stroger Hospital sees 50% of the charity cases in Cook County. But we now have a referral network of hospitals, clinics, even like yesterday. Jessica, who's our executive director, and I was at an event at the Chicago Police Department headquarters. We work with the fire department and the police department. When they identify somebody in an invalid assist call who needs equipment, they come and get the equipment from us.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it has built up from just word of mouth that now over 80% of the people that we see are referrals from organizations like Stroger or the police department or the Chicago Public Schools who identify somebody who is in need, and then they refer them to us and they get the equipment, no questions asked, absolutely free.
It's amazing. Just amazing. You know, we did the story about almost 10 years ago. How, you know, your brother's Ed Shea, he's a Franciscan. He's been in our newspaper.
My cousin.
What's that? Yeah. And
My cousin.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. You two look your whole family looks alike.
Everybody, actually, true story. This Juan who worked with us was speaking to somebody in Spanish and he burst out laughing. And I kind of turned around and I said, "What?" He goes, "Oh, she just told me you look just like a priest she knows." So, yes, we do, I guess, look a lot alike.
At least you and your cousin do. But, you know, this has to have, I mean, such amazingly gratifying work. What has it meant to you to do all this over this time?
Well, as I mentioned, I had been paralyzed, and that was a very dark, difficult time in my life. You know, St. John of the Cross referred to it as the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
And but Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, he was a Holocaust survivor. And the inevitable question, when 99% of the people died, how did you survive? And he said, to live is to experience pain. To survive is finding meaning and purpose in the pain. And this has just been my blessing. Wow. It is how I find meaning and purpose in the pain. And you know, I tell people in the movie, It's a Wonderful Life, when Jimmy Stewart is standing on that bridge, staring into the darkness, ready to commit suicide, and Clarence, the angel, shows up. And I'll ask people, I said, what did Clarence do to save Jimmy Stewart? And they go, oh, well, he showed them what life would have been without him. I said, well, yes, he did that too. But I said, but first, he jumped in the water and started screaming. He let Jimmy Stewart save him. And that's what saved Jimmy Stewart. Every person who comes in the door at Devices for the Disabled is my Clarence. They are my angel.
Okay, so folks, if you're watching, check us out at ChicagoCatholic.com, and you can see stories like this, Devices for the Disabled. We get to do these kind of stories for a living, and meet people like Bob. You can subscribe. You can sign up for some free e-newsletters. You can follow us on social media. And Bob, tell us what you need.
One is, of course, we need donations of medical equipment, so that the only way we are able to continue our mission is through the generosity of the people who give us that equipment. But we also need financial donations. We have rent, we have electric bills, we have payroll, we have a truck. So there's, and the money that it takes to refurbish this equipment so it's appropriate for a person. So and because we charge nothing, all of we have two very skilled, Jessica and Robbie O'Shea, have doctorates in physical therapy. They're working with the patients. Emiliano, as I mentioned, is a tremendous technician. That's all a cost. And so we need donations to continue our mission, because we will never charge any person that comes in our door a penny for the equipment that they need.
And it's Devices for, right? The number 4?
Devices for the Disabled, and then it's .org.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you so much for joining us today.
Could I too, just quickly?
Please, go ahead.
On the screen, at that boy that you see making it possible to get to school.
Yeah.
Another quick story. That was a CBS story that was done. And that young man lost his grandfather and then lost his mother. And those were his two caregivers. So his 18-year-old brother was trying to raise him in Woodlawn. And the brakes on his wheelchair broke, and they weren't letting him on the bus any longer. And he wasn't able to go to school. And the assistant principal, just like, this is just, we cannot let this continue. And she got on the internet and found us. And we got him that wheelchair that you are looking at. That would have been a $12,000 wheelchair. And he was able to continue to go to school because of that assistant principal. So we opened up by saying we give people their life back. That young man was able to continue to go to school and move on with his life.
Well, I can't say it any better than that, folks. Go to devicesforthedisabled.com, watch these videos, check out what they have to say, reach out to Bob, donate your stuff, donate some money, and follow us at ChicagoCatholic.com. And Bob, always good to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'll send you that email, and
thank you.
We'll keep in touch.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.